This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download.
Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking Nerf herder!
You can't use that word. Only we can use that word.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT.
Stormtrooper armor deflects everything except Orback hooves. They're like a horse version of Thomas the Tank Engine.
AJ.
Yeah, Rebels is a lot like our show, where we think we have a good idea and then it just fails in execution.
Steve.
The vacuum of space does crazy things to your beehole out there, man.
The Rob Zombie Halloween films continue to spark debate to this day. On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we go around the horn with our special guest host, Drew Rigdon, and give our thoughts on these divisive horror remakes.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, please click that like and that subscribe button, and don't forget to smash that notification bell so that you are notified every single time we go live. We are live right here every other Wednesday. Today it's a Thursday, but we had to bump it for a day, but you get the point. Every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to catch audio replays of the show, just Google Nerf Herder Council Podcast. We're pretty much everywhere. So let me bring on my very good friend, my excellent orange-bathed co-host. It looks more like yellow, but what the hell. AJ, what is going on, man?
Yeah, it looks like someone peed in my office over here.
As long as it wasn't you, I think we're all good. So,
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I drink heavily. I'm never entirely sure.
Okay.
You might know something about that. You witnessed it last night.
I didn't see you drinking very heavily last night. Or did you imbibe after you got home?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit means a lot. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, tonight is going to be a really good time because we are talking about horror movies yet again. And tonight we are talking about a couple of movies that are, I would say, pretty divisive. The Rob Zombie Halloween films. I've gotten into debates about these movies a lot over the years. Most people really hate the second one. The first one, people are kind of back and forth on. Personally, I love them both. So I wanted to come on and discuss these with you. But I also wanted to get a special guest host on with us who loves Halloween more than anybody that I know. And she loves watching scary movies, and Halloween is basically like a month-long Christmas for her. So without further ado, our special guest host tonight, my beautiful stepdaughter, Drew. What is going on, Drewby?
Not much.
So,
kicked it.
Yeah, I know what's going on. You're breaking your stuff.
I kicked it.
Way to go. Way to go. So, all right. So starting out real quick, before we asked you to come on the show and do this, you've seen these movies before, correct?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the second one though, because I watched it last weekend and I did not remember it at all.
Maybe you saw it and you just thought it was so shitty that you didn't remember it.
I would never. They're definitely better than the new one.
Oh, Halloween Ends?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. I've tried to get through the first one of that new trilogy like 3 times, and I've fallen asleep every time. So I think I've seen all of it in bits and pieces, and I'm just does nothing for me. So I never saw Halloween Kills, and I haven't seen Halloween Ends. So, AJ, what about you? Where do you stand on these movies? I mean, you had seen them already, I know, before we decided to do this for the show. So,
Yeah, but it was a long, long time ago. I definitely I had to rewatch them. I did back-to-back nights of Halloween movies, which was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I'm with you where like the first one, I remember very clearly. The second one, I remember just being weirder. And overall, I'd say that there was definitely a drop in quality with the second one. But I think that's because there's so much less story to it. It's just like, yeah, remember that guy that was walking around killing people in the first one? He's still doing it. That's like pretty much it. That's the whole plot.
So had either of you guys seen the original Halloween, like the 1978 one that the first Rob Zombie was the first Rob Zombie version was a remake of? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I just watched it the first time last weekend.
So what did you think of it?
To be honest, I kind of thought it was a little corny.
Well, it's a horror movie after all. I mean, that's kind of part and parcel, isn't it? But yeah, it's for me. It's one of those things where it was made in 1978, and what scared people back then is like not the same as what scares people now. So
yeah,
I could guess at the time how that would be creepy as hell. But yeah, by today's standards, it's really slow and kind of just plodding along, really.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I rewatched it myself, and I had forgotten that like nothing happens for the longest time in that movie. And then, like one of the first deaths where Michael Myers is choking out the one girl in the car. It's just like the worst acting ever. She's like, like, what is that? Like, what? How? I know they were on a shoestring budget and didn't have a lot of time to produce it, but Jesus Christ, you couldn't get a second take of that? Like, that was awful. So, and also there's no blood. So I was like, okay, well that's like, I don't know. I'm with you, Drew. It just didn't. I mean, did you think it at least had a creepy vibe at all, or was like nothing enjoyable about it to you?
It definitely had a little bit of a creepy vibe, but I definitely like the newer ones better.
Okay.
Yeah. I would almost classify by today's standards. I would classify the original as a psychological thriller more than an actual horror movie. Because, like you said, the lack of blood and gore is kind of surprising, actually. Yeah. Especially because, like, I know it predates them by a little bit, but you compare it to, like, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, and you're like, where's the blood?
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original of that had almost no blood, and you're like, well, what? How is that scary? That's, it seems like you're just like bruising them. Like, oh, you better watch out, victim. I'm gonna leave a flesh wound. What the hell is that about? So, all right. So, right off the bat, Drew, give us your like quick review of the first Rob Zombie Halloween, like your first impressions. Like, just what do you think of that movie in general? Like tell us a little bit about like where you stand on that first Rob Zombie movie.
I've seen that one a few times. I definitely like that one better than the second one. Definitely a lot, like you said, definitely a lot more blood and gore. But yeah, that's definitely one of the top ones for me.
Okay. AJ, where do you stand on the first Rob Zombie Halloween remake?
I think it's a lot better than the sequel that comes after it. But what I like best about it is, unlike the original, it spends way more time with child Michael. And whoever they cast for that kid, like, I hate bagging on a child, but he does look like a friggin' psycho.
He does.
You look at that kid, you're like, yeah, something's not right there. Like, I hope someone has checked in on that actor in real life to make sure that things are going all right.
Yeah.
Wow. But I think that's what makes it so creepy, is that it's not just like anonymous person doing these killings. It's like, yeah, this kid was fucked up, and then his entire life was spent in a mental institution, and he became more fucked up. So I think giving an actual backstory to Michael Myers helps so much more for the plot than the original ever did. So yeah, I think it's a great update on the formula.
Okay. Yeah, for me, When I first saw this one, I loved it, and it caught a lot of crap when it was first released. And personally, I loved it, AJ. Exactly what you, for the same reason that you just said, is that giving a little bit more backstory to Michael as a kid. I understand why some people would say, well, you don't need to know that. It kind of takes away some of the mystery of the character. Like, I can understand that, but I just thought it was kind of cool to see that descent into, what he would later become as the Thing. The Shape, I'm sorry. The Thing, that's another John Carpenter movie on a future episode of Nerf Herder Council. But yeah, I love the violence of it. It's kind of like we were talking about the original. It's very sterile. It's like, to me, I want a horror movie to be violent and gory and brutal. And this one is. It's like, okay, you got the three legendary killers, Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers. And I want to see them chopping people into little bits. I want to see them carving people up. I like it, not just implied and just, sneaking through the bushes like a peeping Tom. And this is Michael Myers just going to town on people, and I love it. So this has always been a favorite of mine. So like you, Drew, I really, really like this one. So,
I think that Michael Myers himself is actually better in this too. Not just like the casting of the kid and what that, but like in the original, he just seems stoic, like not like in a creepy way, but just in a I'm not doing anything interesting kind of way.
Yeah,
like he kills a guy and he just like, all right, on to the next, whatever, all in a day's work. But this time, like Rob Zombie like holds on a shot and you'll see him like stab somebody and then he'll just like turn his head just that little bit. That's like he's admiring his own work. Like it puts like so much more menace into his character. Like, oh my God, he like instead of just being a robot going around killing people, this is a person who knows what he's doing and enjoying it, like impressing himself along the way. Like that's so much creepier.
Look at this, our buddy Joseph Wren. He says, "Hey, look, it's Drew. Watch out for JT and AJ. They're dressed as stormtroopers." If we are, we're just like a stormtrooper because we missed the mark. Hey-o! Yeah, so, Drew, when you're watching Halloween movies, or horror movies, I should say, what are you looking for? Because, like, for example, like, when I'm watching stuff, I want the gore. The more gross, the better for me. So that's huge for me. I like it to be violent. I don't want to have my scares implied. Like, I want to know what's coming. Like, oh my God, this guy's going to turn this other dude into hamburger. Like, you're kind of like turning away from it. So, like, that's kind of what. So, if you could have like a perfect horror movie, what sort of stuff do you look for?
Definitely the blood and gore. Definitely enjoy that. The one thing I did not like in the second one that I don't like for any scary movie is the killing of the animals. I can't. Like, John, I know you can't either. I can't even watch. When they were doing that, I had to turn away. Yeah, definitely. It's been a while since I can find an actual scary movie that like makes me jump. Like, I want to be able to jump, but I think I just watched too many scary movies that I just know what's coming at this point.
Yeah, there's what was the name of that website that I sent you that my buddy he told me about it? Doesthedogdie.com. Yeah. It's like a list of all the movies where if you can find out if it's got animal violence or not. Like, I'm totally with you on that one.
Yeah, I can't do it.
So AJ, what makes a good horror movie for you then?
I'm with you. I like the gore. I like Drew was saying, I want to feel something, and we've seen people get dismembered a bunch, so that's a thing. But if you hang on it in the right way and you like get really up close with the camera or take too long on a shot, then I'm like that's exactly what I want. Like, I found, like, I just finished watching the second one about 45 minutes before we came on, and especially at the beginning, like in the hospital and all that stuff, like they get so up close with the camera and take forever to show the gore of what's happening to these people. I'm just like, I felt bad watching it. I was like, this is unpleasant. But that's exactly what you're supposed to feel. So yeah. I think it's really effective. I want to feel like uncomfortable watching it. Like, it's like I should, even in the audience, I should be like running to call 911. Like, someone's got to stop this. Oh my God.
Right. All right. Well, let's dig into the first movie and then we'll do the second one after that. But, yeah, like I said, to start out with, this one was it wasn't met with as much critical acclaim as I would have thought it was or would have been when it was released. I loved it. I went to the theater and he's hacking people up like crazy. I loved, like I said, like, you know, little Michael. I mean, that first kill where he tapes the stepdad to the chair and then he's like, and then he just slits his throat. And then in the news report later, it says he was like stabbed in the face and neck like 17 times or something. I was like, holy crap.
I do love that, how like they didn't show any of that. It comes out in the news report later that he mutilated the body after the fact.
Yeah.
Oh,
so it makes it even worse.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and the thing that I found interesting, I was not familiar with the original that much when this one came out, the Rob Zombie one. So I went back and rewatched it, and then I rewatched the original, like I say, just over the last couple days. Rob Zombie literally lifted exact scenes from the original film. Character names, everything. So it's, you know, I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, okay, well, here's it really is an update. It's kind of like the original on steroids, which I thought was a really cool choice. You know, it's not like that horrific piece of shit Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which is just absolutely putrid. Like, it's like, no, this is Michael Myers just with the character more fleshed out. And, you know, you heard how brutal he is. Well, here he is being brutal. It was, you know, kind of like what some people had been asking for years. So, you know, I mean,
yeah, and it's also not like that Hulu reimagining of Hellraiser. At least they called it a reimagining, so they didn't try to tell you it's like it's the same movie, just newer. So like this one, just calling itself Halloween, it had to be Halloween, and yeah. I think they nailed that part.
Do you guys think that maybe they made like, I don't know, like the stepdad and the sister like a little bit too unlikable, so that it's like, you know, because what do you think about that, Drew? Because in the first movie, like the original, it was just like, you know, the sister just sitting there, and Michael comes up and just slaughters her. You're like, man, what the hell did she do wrong? But in this one, you're like, yeah, I'd kind of want to cut your head off too.
Yeah, definitely helps having that backstory of how they treated him, which I also didn't like in the original, how they didn't even show the killing of his sister, or they did, but you know what I'm saying, like it was through his mask. Yeah. And you couldn't even see anything happening. But then the Rob Zombie one, you could see everything. He's literally doing everything. And in the original, they didn't kill the boyfriend. But then the Rob Zombie one, they showed killing the boyfriend.
I wonder how much of what you don't see in the original is just a budget constraint.
Yeah.
It was a shoestring budget. I heard that even like, okay, so they filmed it in springtime, so it wasn't even fall, so they had to get fake leaves.
Yeah, and
then they
them
had
all
to
over
like
the place.
vacuum them up after every scene so they could put them down in the next scene to shoot with. So clearly I don't know, gore and visual effects takes a little bit of time and money, so that might have been a problem.
Yeah.
But to your point about like the Michael Myers part and making them too unlikable, John, I think it's effective because in the beginning, like, Michael Myers is just a kid. He's just an innocent little kid. So he starts by flipping his shit on awful people. And that it kind of makes sense. So he's not like totally the villain yet. Like he's crazy, but you know, he's getting mistreated. So you're kind of in his corner anyway. And
it makes him like a hero.
Yeah. And then over time, it's just like, well, now that he's got a taste for blood, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. He's just going to kill you anyway, because that's what he likes to do.
Yeah. Joseph Wren says, I do like the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween because it's the exact opposite of what the original was. Halloween doesn't really explain Michael Myers' backstory. It doesn't have to. Yeah, I mean, see, I guess it just depends on what you prefer. I really wonder if us not really getting into the original is just because back then that was revolutionary, and now it's very, very, very tame. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's not a lot of stuff from back then really holds up as something like, oh my God, except for something like Alien. You know, that movie's still really, really creepy because it's about an alien. It's in deep space. Everything's dark and stark. And, you know, there's not a happy thing to be found in that movie, except for the fact that the cat lives, Jonesy lives. So that's good. But, you know, but not a lot of that stuff that was like considered scary is right. It's atmospheric, just isn't really considered overly freaky, I suppose. Shane O'Mac, Shane Waffles Hardy, good to see you, man. He says, I'm sorry, most of his stuff is mid at best. I I don't know, Shane.
Are we talking Rob Zombie or John Carpenter?
Michael Myers. He's rating the kills. That one sucked. He didn't even take his arm
We can
off.
talk about that, sure.
Yeah, no, Shane, I would say the first Halloween movie is awesome. Devil's Rejects is fantastic. But the rest, I could see why you would say that. So I could get on board with that. Juanita Velez, good to see you tuning in. I like his movies. You have to learn to separate them from the original, not try to compare them too much. See, I don't know about that. I mean, I think if you're going to make a remake of something, you have to compare them. You know, yeah.
Plus, it works in our favor in this case because we're not really big fans of the original, so it makes the remake look better.
Yeah, exactly. My wife chiming in, John is terrified of Alien. That is the truth. That movie scared the ever-living piss out of me. And whenever I watch it these days, like, I'm still just creeped out. That damn Alien.
I thought it was Aliens.
No.
Aliens with the face huggers.
They both did, but the first one is what started it because that's the one I saw first. So that just absolutely terrified the bejesus out of me. And that stupid Alien Isolation game, I couldn't even finish it because it totally recreates the vibe of that damn movie. And it just creeped me out to no end, man. Oh, look at her. It doesn't matter. He's scared. Oh, shut up. You think ghosts are scary. Banned from the chat. Yeah, I think it's because we're used to different things now, maybe. But I like that. I like that he did direct callbacks to the original, so it's really grounded, you know, in the original. So it's tied to it. So it's kind of like you said, AJ, not a reimagining, and
you could tell he was a fan of it. Like it's not like he tried to throw everything out. It seemed like a guy who sat down and is like, "This, I love this movie, but it needs an update." So he was just like, let's make the same movie again that audiences now will actually be affected by. And I think that's perfect.
So what did you guys think of the Michael Myers escape where they were walking him out, they had like 6 officers and he breaks the handcuffs. What did you guys think about that?
Drew, I'll give you this one.
Well, actually, I actually jumped a little bit because I was not expecting it.
Okay.
I was like, oh, no. But I thought definitely gory. I was like, oh. I kept saying, oh. Because something just kept happening. But I definitely, it sounds so bad to say that you enjoy stuff like that, but I definitely did.
You're not alone. You're not alone in that. So, what about you, AJ? Did you like that, the way that he got loose?
I did. Like, Rob Zombie has this really effective way of like giving you exactly what you expect, but still surprising you at the same time. Like the shot that it reminds me of, because like Drew, like you, like as soon as they're like doing the transfer, I'm like, okay, this is where he busts out, and this is like without even having known the plot. I'm just like, this is obviously where he's going to escape.
Yeah,
like he's not going to like, Hulk through a brick wall and escape the building. But, if he's let out of his room, then that sounds like a pretty good chance for him to escape. So I was waiting for the kills. I knew it was going to happen. And still, like, I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. And it seemed to take just a little longer than you thought it should, which is exactly the way to like build that suspense. Like, it reminds me of in House of a Thousand Corpses, where the sheriff is dead to rights and he's on his knees with his own gun pointed at his forehead.
Oh, yeah.
And the camera just pulls out, like holds on that shot forever. And then when you just can't take it anymore, finally the dude pulls the trigger and blows his head off. I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
That got me. And same with this. Like, and of course, what a great environment to kill people in too. You got like metal bars and glass, like, and of course their own weapons, and it's a little confined space, so like no one can get out. It's like the Vader hallway scene in Rogue One. You know what's going to happen. And you're just like, I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Yep. So, have you guys seen the director's cut of this movie?
I don't
think that's
think
the one
so.
I watched.
Okay, because I own that one, and so I own it on DVD, and that's the version I was used to watching. So when I went and watched the digital version to study up for the show, I was like, hey, that's not what happens. So I need to know which Michael Myers escape you guys would prefer. So there's the one in the movie that we just talked about. But in the director's cut, you remember that other guy that was like the other guard that was walking down the hall with Danny Trejo? He's like, let me tell you something, Ishmael. You ain't the boss of me. You know, that he's a Southern hit guy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So in the director's cut, he brings one of his shit-kicking buddies into the prison after hours, and they're dragging this new, like, cute little female prisoner with them, and they go into Michael's room and they rape her while he's sitting there. And they're making fun of Michael while they're raping this, like, you know, new crazy person or whatever.
Damn.
And he ends up getting up and just slaughtering these two idiots. And that's how he ends up getting out of his room. So he kills these people, and then it shows Ishmael showing up for work, and then it shows the hallway with the blood everywhere, and he's like, what the hell? And then he turns around and Michael Myers is there, and he's like, let me get you back in your room. So which one do you think is better? The two pieces of garbage raping the chick in the room, and then Michael kills them, and that's how he gets out, or the one we saw with, you know, in the standard version with like breaking the handcuffs?
I'd say the two douchebags, because I hated that guy. I hated him, and I actually felt bad when he killed I forget the other guy's name. You said it, the nice one, when he killed him.
Yeah, the one who'd been there like since he was a kid.
Yeah. I felt so bad, but I definitely hated that other guy. So definitely both the two douchebags.
Yeah, which one do you? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the other one, AJ, but I mean, which one would you think you would prefer?
Okay, I totally see why they didn't put that one in the theatrical cut, because that would definitely be NC-17 at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
You're not going to include a rape scene and a double homicide in the same cell block and get away with it rated R.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you don't cuck Michael Myers, so I think that you just gotta.
Wow.
Well, that's the thing, is you kind of cheer for him at that point, and you're not supposed to. So I don't know which would be more effective from a story standpoint. Because, like I said, Michael Myers is supposed to be the villain, but if he's, you know, cutting people up who are busy raping a girl right in front of him, yeah, I'm going to cheer for Michael Myers. Like, he's the good guy in that situation.
Well, that's why.
Blurs the line.
That's kind of like why I was thinking, you know, like I said at the beginning, that he's almost like heroic in a way, because he's killing bad people to start. So I think that's kind of why it, you know, like. I prefer like the one where you know, he kills the two douchebags in the cell, because first of all, like you said, Drew, it's cool to see that guy just get smashed. So
higher body. Yep.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
body count.
Yeah. And also I think it's just kind of stock to say, oh, he's superhuman. He broke the handcuffs. Oh no. I was like, okay, well, that's not very original. And I think that because he, you know, as we said earlier, you know, the stepdad was a douchebag, the sister was a jerk. You know, why he killed the boyfriend, I don't know. But anytime you give me somebody bashing someone's brains in with a baseball bat on screen, I'll take it. And then, you know, he gets to the two douchebags, and you know and the other thing in the director's cut also, the nurse, when she turns her back on him in the cafeteria, and he stabs her in the neck. They leave out in the cut that we watched, the digital edition, when she looks at the picture and she goes, cute baby. And she just turns around, then he kills her with a fork. In the director's cut, she says, cute baby. Couldn't be related to you. Huh. And then turns around. So then you see why he's like, all right, well, fuck you. Then I'm going to put a fork through your neck, you know? So
yeah.
So there's that too. So by that point, he had killed like, you know, 6 idiots. So when he gets to Ishmael, who, as you said, Drew, like took care of him his whole life, you're like, oh my God, is he going to let him go? Like, is this going to be like the one? It's going to show him like a bit of human? No, that's where you see he's just a monster. He didn't care,
especially where he keeps blubbering like, "But I was nice to you, Mikey.
Yep.
I was nice to you." Like, shit, man, you were.
And then he damn near drowns him and then smashes his head with a television.
Yeah, I like that he like, you know, gives him 3 attempted drownings, and instead of just drowning his ass, he's like, all right, I'm not going to drown you. I'm going to put a television on your face.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's the next thing I wanted to get to is I thought that the types of kills that they had were really, really pretty cool. It wasn't, you know, I mean, he's got the knife and he does a lot of stabbing, of course, but I thought the way that they presented them was a little more original. You know, like I said, you know, like we just said, with Ishmael, he basically drowns him, then smashes his head with a television set. You're like, okay, that's pretty cool. you know, one of the guys, I think, you know, he smashes the guy against the wall with his head, and his head, like, you know. So that was Shane O'Mac. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Oh, wrong movie. Nice. Oh, the best of the Elm Street movies. Todd Gatchell, good to see you, man. He says, that's great. I've never thought of Michael as a vigilante. LOL. I guess Jason technically too, eh? That's hilarious. First time catching the show. Been a long time. Glad to see you are well. You too, brother. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. But yeah, and then, you know, you get to stuff like when he meets Joe Grizzly at the truck stop, and, you know, it's two big giant dudes in the stall, and he's just smashing the knife out of his hand, and, you know, like that was
after the joke, I was just laughing because there's that line in the movie. I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
Yeah. I got a Taco Deluxe Supreme talking back at me. So, I mean, we've all talked about like the gore, like, so what did you guys think of the quality of the kills in this? Because it wasn't very stock. I mean, so where do you guys fall with that?
Go ahead, AJ. You go first.
You're punting me. Okay. All right. Well, I was actually gonna segue with a question about the kills, because we're focusing so far entirely on the first movie. I wondered what you guys thought about the comparison of the kills between the first and the second movie. Because I think my personal take is that I think there was more variety in the kills in the first movie. It was more graphic in the second movie. So I don't know which one is more effective. It's like, oh, that's a clever way to off somebody, or just, oh God, this is hard to watch. Like JT, you were mentioning that he grunts in the second one. Like there's no sound when he's killing someone. Like the effort that he puts forth to kill somebody in the first one, that was new for the second movie.
That's
so. Which one did you prefer as far as like the kill count and how they went about the body count?
Well, I think, you know, I think you're right in that they're a little more straightforward in the second one. But again, they are more brutal, and we'll dig into those kills when we get to the second movie, because, like you said, there's something I definitely want to mention about that. But I think if you put them all in a pile, it's pretty kick ass, because it's, you know, they're the kills you kind of want to see in a horror movie. It's like Saw. Like, why do we watch Saw? Does anybody know the plot of Saw besides I want to play a game? Like, no. It's just like a human, like, hamburger grinder. It's like how many different ways can you maul a human being? Like, that's what you go for. So yeah, I mean, I would say you're right, AJ. They're more creative in the first one, a little more brutal in the second one. So what about you, Drew? What about you?
I definitely agree with that. I don't really remember the second one quite as much, just because I feel like I've only seen it once, and I've seen the first one multiple times, so I can remember the kills way more the first one. Okay.
So did you have a favorite kill in the first Halloween?
I don't know if I have a favorite. No. I just like them all.
Drew's like, chop up them people, man. I don't care how, just do it. Oh yeah, here's Juanita brings up a good point. I've only seen the first one, but she says the kills are why the Hatchet films are my favorites. Yeah, the special effects aren't great, but if you're into like an old school 80s, just like everything exploding in blood, that's what you watch. And oh, is it cheesy, but it's so good. So good. Yeah, man. All right, so do you have a favorite kill in the first movie, AJ?
See, that's tough, because some of the best kills are with the characters that I didn't want to see die. So,
okay.
Like, I didn't want to see Ishmael get his. I didn't want to see. Come on, who was the trucker we were just talking about?
He's Joe Grizzly, bitch.
Joe Grizzly, yeah. I was like, that dude's awesome. Damn it, son of a bitch. But great way to get the jumpsuit, though. I like that part.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. That was a very video game thing, wasn't it? Like, you know,
yeah.
How does he get the jumpsuit? Oh, he finds a trucker and kills him in the truck stop bathroom. Okay, now he's got the suit.
Yeah, we talk about easy, obvious callbacks like that.
Yeah,
it's like, well, he's got to get the suit, so thanks for that. I don't know what my favorite one is. I can tell you what my least favorite is.
Okay.
My least favorite is the callback to the original with stabbing the boyfriend through the chest up on the wall and leaving the chest in there.
What?
Leaving the knife in there. Because it makes no physical sense.
Oh, come on. Are you really going to do the physics of this shit? Really? Drew, what do you
would
think?
have to be a frigging sword. Like, there's no way, there's only 2 inches of knife blade that might be getting in that wall. There's no way anyone's being hung up by that.
The guy had a medical condition.
I thought it was goofy and cheesy in the first one, and it was just as goofy and cheesy in the remake.
The guy had a concave sternum.
Maybe you don't have to call back to that part. Of all the scenes to recreate, maybe you don't do that one. Or do it more. Like, find other things to stick him into the wall with.
Dude.
So it starts with that, and maybe he you know what they should have done? You know what they should have done? Take a page out of the Family Guy's playbook with the frog, where Peter, tries to buy a frog as a pet, and he says, "I poked some holes in his back so he could breathe." And then he's trying to get the dead frog out the window, and it's just over and over and over and awkwardly too long. He should stab him through the chest, hang him up there, and then watch him start to slide off. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on a second.
Like he's hanging a painting.
Yeah, just find other shit to stab through him, until he's really stuck up there.
The girlfriend's sitting in bed yelling, "Hey, where's my beer, asshole?" And it flashes the hallway, and he's got like construction overalls on. He's got nails sticking out of his mouth, like he's hanging up a picture, he's got a level and everything with the corpse on the wall. Oh my God. Yeah. See, Steph says it, AJ, you're going into the physics of it. Steph says, and Michael still being alive after the first movie into the second is completely real. So yeah, dude.
Granted.
Dude,
yes.
He stuck a guy to the wall. That's awesome. I mean, Drew, what do you think? I thought it was, I know it's not physically probably possible, but maybe the guy had a concave sternum and he put the knife into a stud. He hit a stud in the wall. So the part that he was doing, he was only about this wide. So he got about this much knife blade, and it was, technically,
Now I think you're thinking too much into it.
Well, was it awesome or was it not, Drew? I mean, come on. He stuck a guy to the wall.
Yeah, it was awesome.
See, AJ, there you go. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Yeah, I don't think I really had a problem with any of the kills. I thought they were all,
Shane nailed it. He hit a stud. Only guy to ever hit the stud the first try.
Well, when he was at whatever the mental hospital, when he was there, he was in shop class to bide his time. That's why he's so accurate stabbing too.
That's why he wanted the coveralls. He was used to wearing that, in shop class.
He was making boxes and cuckoo clocks and stuff like that. Oh my God. Yeah. So the other thing that I thought was kind of cool was that I like the fact that in the Rob Zombie one it was like a familial tie, and I've never been quite sure if they were supposed to be brother and sister in the first one. I don't think so. I'm almost positive that.
I think it was a Star Wars thing where it was written in later.
Like a retcon?
So it's like a Luke and Leia thing where in the first movie they really weren't brother and sister until George Lucas got a better idea. And I don't think Laurie Strode was ever Michael Myers' sister until the following movies said that was the case.
Well, don't you think that it makes more sense that Laurie Strode would be his sister? Because for me, when that was not the case, it's like, so this guy comes back to Haddonfield for what? He's just going to kill people? Okay, I guess that's fine. But once it's become kind of a pain in the ass to kill Laurie Strode, why didn't he just go down the street, kill somebody else? That's not going to be a pain in his ass. I thought the Rob Zombie thing where there's that tie, like he's coming back for his baby sister, was, I thought that was cool. It added a little bit of a human element. So
yeah, that confused me.
They did a great job of keeping that secret too. Sorry, Drew, what did you say?
No, I was just saying that it confused me too, because in the new ones, like I can't remember if it's Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends. I can't remember. But Laurie's stepdaughter, granddaughter, someone said something to her about Laurie being Michael Myers' brother, and she said, no, that was just a rumor. But then the whole other ones, it made it seem like they were brother and sister.
See, that's interesting. I think that's probably because I don't think John Carpenter liked the idea of, I don't think he liked the idea of the brother-sister thing. And he's actually like an executive producer on these new ones, so he was kind of involved in the story of it. So, all right, yeah.
I'm going to put something up on the screen here real quick.
Okay,
go ahead and read Juanita's comment here first.
Sorry, yeah. Juanita said, them being brother and sister depends on the timeline you follow. It was the second movie where they said that. Yeah, that's what I thought, Juanita. And I forget, was John Carpenter involved in the second one? I thought it was only the first one. I should have done some research. All right, so AJ on the screen has the Halloween timelines. Okay.
Yeah, so it gets murky really fast. So I don't know what the actual canonical. It's like trying to plot the Legend of Zelda games. Like, it depends on which timeline you want to believe in.
Well, at least there's only three. Like the ones that don't, there is no timeline. It's just these two we're talking about, and then the anthology timeline is Halloween 3, which has nothing to do with Michael Myers. But yeah, everything starts from the first one, and I guess the new trilogy that started in 2018. So Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. Like, those are technically Halloween 2, 3, and 4 if you branch off the first one. And I'm not going to explain this.
So
if you want to see the timeline, go to our YouTube channel if you're listening to the audio version.
Right. So you've got a branching timeline right after the first movie. Then you've got a branch off of one of the branches.
Yeah.
For the H2O timeline. And then Halloween 3 just doesn't exist in any timeline. It's like, why the hell did you call it Halloween then? Rob Zombies are on their own. Like, Jesus, man. No wonder no one keeps track of this crap.
Who designed this place?
Right?
Man, oh man.
So so the timelines are really confusing. But the thing I loved about the way Rob Zombie handled it in the first movie is it was like trickled out. It wasn't a big deal. Like, you knew as the audience member that there was this baby, and if you saw the original, as soon as she was called Laurie as a teenager, you're like, oh shit, okay, I know who that is. But they didn't connect all those dots like explicitly until later in the movie, so it wasn't a big deal. It was just anonymous babysitter who happens to survive a lot.
Yeah, she was a resilient babysitter. That's true. That is true. Yeah, I don't know.
There you are, John. Your Wi-Fi did it again.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought you were stuck there for a second, and then yeah. Anyway,
all right, sorry. Yeah, I just think this is a really good underrated movie. I like the updates to the original, like the callbacks to the original. It's again, I think it's like the original on steroids, and I understand why some people might not enjoy that, especially if they're really big fans of the original. But I think when you look at all of the remakes that have been done, like you say, of the main movies like Hellraiser and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, like this one is by far the best one. By far the best one. And I like the Friday the 13th reboot. That one's cool. But I just think this one is, it stays true to the original and just adds to what was there. So it doesn't change things like, that Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, oh God, we're gonna have to watch that and do an episode about that one, and just call it. We're gonna be pissed off for an hour. Have you ever seen that movie, Drew?
I watched all of them that was on your Prime. So if it's on there, then yeah.
Oh no, I would not spend a goddamn penny on that movie. It is absolutely horrible.
Why is it always on the front of my Amazon Fire screen then? Like I thought it was because you owned that movie.
Hell no, I don't own that movie. I have the 1984 one, the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
No one's paying money to promote the Michael Bay version, but it's there. Like it's front page for me every time I fire it up, and I've never seen it, and I've never paid any money for it, so I don't know why it's there. But fuck that shit.
Ugh. All right,
I just got
before we get into two, I got
two things to say about that Michael Bay remake. about doing a show about it. One, when do you plan on doing that? And two, I'm busy that day. I'm sorry.
That movie is absolutely god awful. That'll definitely be a bitch fest from start to finish. Yeah, Shane says it, man. We love the nostalgia. Younger crowds need constant action. It's just the evolution. Yeah, I would agree with that. I just think the original, like, it just, nothing happened for so long. I mean, I get it's a slow burn and stuff, but that was a little too slow, I think.
I think the reason that we like the new one so well compared to the original is, and I know we try not to get too smart on this show, so just, mute me if I go too nerd here, but I think like what scares people changes over time. Like back then it was the Cold War, it was this ghostly looming threat. So the undefined terror was the scary thing. So Michael Myers, like, how does he have these powers and how can he resist all this and how is he so strong? And they're like, we don't know, and that's what's scary. But by the time this one came about, it was post 9/11, and the things that scared us were real people doing real horrific things. So the more that horror movies started to ground themselves in reality and try to explain how these things happen, it became scarier because you're like, oh crap, that's plausible. That could actually happen. And I think you're going to the second movie now, and that's where I think the second one kind of falls down because it leans back on the old mysticism and supernatural stuff that's harder to believe in than just this guy is really big, really angry, and has no remorse.
Yeah. Well, getting to the second one, I remember reading somewhere sometime that Rob Zombie did not want to make this movie. It was never his intention to have a series of these. He wanted to do the one and be done, and the studio, he got suckered into it somehow. So as we alluded to earlier, the kills in the second movie are much more brutal. And that's why I like it. I will never forget. I actually saw this movie by myself in the theater when it came out. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had nothing going on. I was like, I'm going to go see the new Halloween movie. So I went, and I remember sitting, I was like uncomfortable in my seat because I was like, God damn, this guy's effing people up. Like, it was, to the point where instead of just hacking away like normal, they actually put the sound in there. Like, you hear him going, ugh, ugh. Like, you can hear him, the physical effort of how hard he's stabbing people. You're just like, holy crap. So, like the first kill in the hospital with the nurse, he's just going at her. And even after she's dead, he sits there for a second, then goes back for more. You're like, okay. Like, I think she's dead, bro. Like, So what were your first impressions of this? I know, Drew, you said you've seen it maybe once, but so that means it's kind of fresh for you. So what were your impressions of watching this one compared to the first one?
Well, I'm just going to say I was very upset about Annie dying in the second one because she made it through the first one and I liked her. So when I seen that, what he did to her, and then her dad walked in and there's just blood everywhere. I actually wanted to cry in that part. I never want to cry in scary movies. That part. And then it was just a little like strange. Like Lori just became crazy. And the end when her mom appears and she's in that like white room and she just has like the most creepiest smile ever. And that's where it just ends. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, the plot got a little wonky. I didn't really follow the white horse thing, and like you said, the ending where she's in that like barn, and Loomis is like, nobody's holding on to you or whatever. It's like, and then it does kind of show her by herself in there for a second, but then Michael's back. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah,
like, what kind of ending is this? So, but again, I don't go into these sorts of movies looking for any sort of deep meaning. I don't go in there like, oh, this is, I don't really watch the plot. Like, that's so not, it has to be really, really terrible for me to pay attention to the plot of a horror movie. And I never really paid attention to the plot in this because the kills were amazing. I mean, dude, let's face it. maybe the best kill in any horror movie. One of my all-time favorites, anyways, in this movie. The dude at the dumpster.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, that was just in. Hold on. Joseph Wren. Joe, he says, in the White Room with Mike Myers. Sing it. You know, Joe, it's funny. I was thinking that when she mentioned in the White Room with Michael Myers. Like, I was thinking that. But yeah, with the bartender guy out by the dumpster. And I've always thought, like, up to that movie, I was like, man, you know, it'd be one of the most obnoxious, like, just rude personal ways to kill somebody. Just stomp their face until it's like pulp, and that's what we get.
Yeah.
He stomps on the guy's head and then just keeps stomping on it, and then later on it shows the inside of the strip club, and the guy's hanging there and his head's all meat and everything, like. And then he goes in with the bar owner and breaks his arm, and that was all gross. And he's coming out of the thing screaming, and his arms flopping everywhere. And then the stripper tries to run, and he just grabs a face full of hair or a handful of hair and is smashing her into this mirror over and over again until she's dead. I was like, oh my God. I mean,
Rob Zombie does like to kill naked women, doesn't he?
Well, it's funny you mention that, because
three of them that are at least topless, if not completely naked, that just get it.
And that's how I. This is going to sound really stupid, but the two ways that I knew I was not watching the director's cut when I watched the first one was, again, Michael Myers' escape. I'm like, wait a minute, the one I'm used to watching, like they're raping, the two guards are raping a crazy chick in his cell, and the other way was when the whatever the slutty cheerleader friend is, not Annie, the other one, I forget her name. But when she dies, like when he chokes her out, in the director's cut, it shows everything, like head to toe. She's like completely nude, and I was like, because when I saw that in the theater, I was like, God damn, they're showing like. And then I remembered it wasn't in the theater; it was just the director's cut. I was like, man, they're showing everything. I didn't know they could do that. So, to your point, yes, and he kind of goes over the top with that, but
I like that because it's. One thing that it's not like, oh, I just need to see naked chicks, but you know, I don't think a serial killer psychopath would wait until someone puts some goddamn clothes on so I can kill you already. So yeah, it's time to kill and you're naked. Guess what? You're going to die naked.
Yep. Yeah. The thing about the second one is it's so unbelievably brutal that it's like, does the plot suck? Yeah, it's not great. Like you said, Drew, does Laurie Strode go crazy? Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
But who cares? Who cares? He just absolutely mauls people. But again, Drew, to your point, there's another animal death, completely unnecessary. So, I mean, did you notice pretty quickly right off the bat, both you guys, like the instant uptick in just the sheer brutality of the murders in this movie? Because I thought it was like, maybe it's an obvious thing to say, but that I haven't really noticed a lot of people talking about that when I've had discussions with them. To me, it was instant. I was like, God bless America, you know?
Yeah.
So something I noticed though is that the deaths are more, they're not implied, but they happen out of frame. Like the camera is like shaking all over the place and you hear stabbing sounds. You don't actually like see a knife going in or anything like that. Like the moment of the actual deaths is like just out of frame, and then you see like the victim like trying to crawl away all bloody and bleeding and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like it sounds more brutal, but you don't actually see as much. You see the effects of the attacks instead.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of disappointed by that actually, because my recollection was that, you know, it's so much more brutal, but I'm like, it sounds more brutal, but you don't really see anything.
I guess I could see that. I mean, even that first death, you know, the dude in the van was, you know, you saw the guy going, but, and can we just talk about that, by the way? Does that not start the movie off amazing? Did you think the same thing I did? Like when Michael Myers gets out of the van, you're like, all right, you know, he's getting out of the van, whatever. And he, you know, they hit a cow and, you know, van wrecks, whatever. And when he bends down and picks up that triangular shard of steel I was like, oh, what's he gonna? You're thinking he's gonna stab, right? I mean, Drew, what did you think when he just like started cutting the guy, like sawing the guy's head off with it? What did you think? I was sitting in the theater, I was going, yes.
It definitely took me by surprise. I did, like you said, I did think he was just gonna stab him. I didn't expect the slitting of the throat, I guess.
Do you think
and
it
the
like
sound?
Yeah.
Like it sounded like he was really like having a rough time with it. Like tendons and bones and shit were putting up a fight.
Jeez,
like,
bro,
damn.
you must work out. There's a lot of sinew and muscle here. Wouldn't it be great if that was Michael Myers' voice? Oh, I think I'm just gonna chop this guy's head off. I gotta get back to Haddonfield. Laura's still alive. I'm gonna get her.
But you knew it. I feel like you kind of knew what you were in for the whole movie just by as soon as they hit that cow and the one guy's dead, but like his head wounds are still like blood's still coming out and trickling and he looks all swollen and disfigured and shit. And then the other guy's still alive and he just like, it's like what, like a minute and a half. And he's just like,
yeah. Yeah, that was so uncomfortable for me.
Right. Like he would have just sat there and bled out or, died anyway. So I was like, shit, are they just going to hang on this guy until he breathes his last or is Michael going to do anything about it? Like either way, it would have been creepy and disturbing.
So, I mean,
I thought it was great. I really thought he was going to like start spitting out teeth or something though. Like he seemed like he had something he was trying to like get out, like, and it was going to be like a chunk of his own like face or something, or like he bit his own tongue off and he'd be like, oh,
fuck, thump, his tongue comes out. Oh God, yeah, no. So I mean, yeah, but did that kind of like immediately, Drew, kind of like make you think, "Goo, what's going to happen in this movie?" Because I know for me it did. I was like, wow, this seems like it's kind of been taken up a level. Yeah. And then I'm like, are they going to be able to continue this? And then of course, the first death in the hospital, you're like, wow, okay, that's two.
Now, question about this. Did we see real deaths? Because it's revealed about 15 minutes in that Laurie's waking up from a dream. So were we watching the dream or were we watching facts as they unfolded a year prior to her having that nightmare?
Wow. That's a good question. What do you think, Drew? Do you think it was like a flashback to actual things or is that just the beginning of Laurie's dream?
I didn't even think about that till now. I guess I didn't even put two and two together. I don't know.
Because I forgot about the whole dream fake out until I watched it tonight. And like he gets to Haddonfield and gets to her like immediately. I'm like, what the shit is going on? And then, she does the scream wake up from the nightmare. I'm like, oh, so does that mean everything in the movie so far has been part of the dream?
God damn it. Now I got to think watching this movie.
Yeah. I like that it's vague though. It could be either way.
What? Okay, so if you had a preference, Drew, what would you prefer? That it's like this is all kind of like a psychological dream thing, or like just all of it is completely real world and Laurie's just a kook?
All of it real.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch someone dream about people dying. I want victims. God damn it!
Now, but see, Drew, if it's real, that means Annie's dead. So if it's a dream, you still have Annie bitching about her new vegan lifestyle.
And if it's a dream, that means the dog lives.
Oh, that's a good point.
Annie and the dog live, but it's a dream, or it's all real. What's your vote now?
Dream. We can never want a dog to die.
Right. That's true. And a cow.
Yeah, and
cows are cute.
The cow definitely got his, didn't he?
Yeah, I heard its blood just trickling down.
This one did have some awesome gore effects, I will say. It was way over the top.
I do want to fact check you on one thing about this movie, though, JT. I should have done this, maybe before we started. But
okay.
I wanted to see if I could find support for your claim that Rob Zombie didn't want to make the movie. And there's actually a quote from him in a Screen Rant interview where he says, I was excited to do a sequel, though, mainly because of the first film was about Michael and how he became this famous murderer. The second one could be about Laurie and how this event had really messed her up. The original Halloween 2 never did that, and now that I had established this universe, I felt like I could do anything I wanted with it.
Okay,
So
well, like I said,
apparently he was actually excited to go back to it and make another movie.
Okay, well, thank you for correcting me. Like I said, I read that somewhere, and I don't remember where or when. I just remember I saw that. I was like, wow. So basically, he just made the kills more brutal because it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I like his version, though, where he decided that, because the one thing that never happens in most stories, period, is like actual consequences of what came before. Usually it's like, oh, new story next week, like on a TV show, and let's just forget about all that crazy nonsense that happened 7 days ago.
Right.
So yeah, this one, like, that's the thing about horror movies. There's so many horror movies where no one actually survives, if you think about it. Like we were talking about The Hills Have Eyes, where do you really want to live through that? Like, did you escape? So this one too, like after all that Laurie went through in the first one, yeah, she's going to be fucked up. Seriously fucked up. So I love that in this one, they address the fact that Laurie's fucked up.
Yeah.
See, that's an interesting point. I mean, Drew, what do you think? Because we can either have this where it's like, okay, what happened to Laurie? And we have to think more. And there's the white horse thing. And we're kind of like, yeah. But then again, what would you feel like if all they did was kind of like a rehash of the first one? Oh, he's loose. He's killing people. And Laurie runs away. Like, how would you feel about that? Just getting like a rehash as opposed to something that does make you think a little bit and tries to do something different, even if it's not done very well in execution. No pun intended.
Yeah. I think that now that you're saying that, I think that they went the right way with it. But like with Halloween Ends and Kills, it still shows Laurie like not crazy like she was in the second one, but it shows like how she is like going crazy with protecting her and her family and doing all the extra like stuff to her house if he comes. So it all like leads to it, and it all makes make sense.
Do you think
that version of Laurie is more like a Sarah Connor, where the way she was affected by it was to guard the fuck up.
Yeah.
Whereas like this one, she's like, I can't handle life anymore. I'm ruined.
She was. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm connecting dots in my head, and I want to get your take on this, guys. Okay, so after that quote of Rob Zombie talking about how this whole movie is about looking at how Laurie got screwed up from the events of the first movie. Plus, we've got that dream sequence at the beginning, and the fact that it ends with her in an asylum, and the murkiness of how, like, throughout the whole movie, Michael is the one seeing his mother and the white horse. And then Laurie starts to see it. And then when she's trapped in the barn at the end, child Michael Myers is holding her from escaping when there's no one really there. Could all of this, could the entire movie be in Laurie's head? Could she have been in the asylum the entire time?
I don't know about you, Drew, but looking at the whole of it, I think that's possible. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too.
Because the end is just totally different. Like she's sitting in that sanitarium or whatever, and it's like the only time you see her like that. Yeah. And also, again, the part in the barn where Loomis is like, "Nobody's holding on to you, Laurie," or whatever. Like it's
now I want to go back and rewatch it to see if there's like any wounds that she takes. Maybe. Like if she incurs like an injury in the movie that's not there in the sanitarium, and then that's the tell. It's like, okay, she imagined it. That didn't actually happen.
Would there be any way to explain why Loomis is suddenly like a gossip monger, like a total prick? Like, was there anything in the first movie that he did to her that basically, in her subconscious, would make her think that he's just like this piece of crap?
No, I guess that doesn't really correlate, does it?
Yeah.
And
plus,
also
part of her freak out in the second movie is finding out that she's related to Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. But
didn't mean to grind it to a halt, but I was like, holy shit, wait a minute. Like if I had a corkboard back there with red strings and push pins,
trying to connect the plot points. Man, I don't know. That's...
Juanita's
yeah.
got a take. Yeah.
Juanita, good point. She says, I've wondered about that. Was that the result of the two events, or was she always in the nut house and maybe Loomis is her doctor too? Maybe that's why he's such a piece of crap.
Okay, so now I'm trying to remember.
Joseph Wren, he said
Loomis...
it could be... Sorry, Joe says it could be Laurie in an asylum. It would be kind of bullshit for it all to be a dream, but if the theme is how it affected her, it could work. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in that context. God damn, are we really sitting here like coming up with like intelligent, cogent like plot points for a goddamn slasher movie?
Right. Well, let's walk it back to the first movie. Loomis gets caught by Michael, and it looks like he's going to have his eyes gouged out, right? Like, dude's pressing on his eyeballs, and we don't see a body or a kill, but it seems like he's going to get his. Do we see him again in the movie after that?
God, I'm drawing a complete blank. I know that... No, because, like, he goes... at least in the version that we saw... Joe, new rule. When the council gets smart, take a drink. Nice. Yeah, I mean, after that, like, is when he kind of goes upstairs, and then I know, like, Laurie's, like, got the gun, and it clicks, and then he, runs her through, and they fall into the yard, and then it ends with her on top of him with the gun clicking, and all of a sudden it ends with a gunshot and her screaming. I want to say... Great ending,
by the way.
Yeah. I want to say in the director's cut you do see him again, but I'm forgetting what it is. So we'll just go with the theatrical release. I don't think you don't see him again. He's laid out.
So yeah, maybe him being alive and doing all that shit in the second movie is just part of Laurie's hallucination.
Yeah, because she doesn't like what he's like saying to her. Maybe he actually wrote the book, and her freak out is her. She finds out in real life that he's, that Michael is her brother, and that's just how she kind of envisions things.
Yeah, because she doesn't put two and two together when he shows her the photograph in the first movie.
Yeah.
So does that mean that if that's just her dream, that one friend of hers that's like a total whore in the second one, that maybe she's not in real life, but Laurie just thinks she's a total whore, and she screws random dudes in vans?
Yeah, that could be Laurie acting out some part of her own fantasies right there. Be like, she wants to get railed in a van, but she never did. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks a lot.
Can't even trust a dude with a van now.
Yeah, I wonder how that explains Annie, though. God, this is getting way too deep. Like, Annie's death, is that like something she's afraid of happening?
She did have like those random dreams that she was killing her. And she'd like wake up. Yeah.
I don't know. I think you can look at it that way, but I don't think it's a dream.
Now I got to go back and rewatch these stupid movies and see if that theory plays out. Damn it! Not that I mind rewatching them, but I didn't think I was going to make myself have to watch movies all over again.
Yeah. We're going to be taking notes. We're going to have eyeglasses on and a notebook like, I can't wait to get to the denouement. I wonder how this is going to play out. Is it psychological? Like, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know. I like bringing it back to just general stupidity. This movie gets totally shit on. And I've always defended it just because it's entertaining. It's like I said, I'm not going to a horror movie looking for war and peace, and plot points and all this other crap. And this was a brutal ass horror movie. I loved it. I mean, Drew, having this being very fresh to you, what do you think about this movie in general? And do you think that it deserves to get crapped on because for the most part, this movie gets generally just ripped apart by horror fans?
The second one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I liked it. I don't think it deserves to be crapped on. I liked it.
What did you like specifically about it?
Definitely the kills. I know we've said that like 15,000 times.
Right.
But no, I mean, besides like the weird, like Lori going crazy plot, besides that, I thought it was a good movie. The kills and Michael in general.
What did you guys think about them actually showing half of Michael's face for a lot of the movie? That was kind of a little bit off-putting to me. That I was like, I get why you're doing it, I suppose, but it kind of took away a little bit of the mystique for me. Where do you guys stand on that? It wasn't his whole face, so it's not like a big deal. But for me, I was like, eh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were mentioning the director's cut of the first movie. Apparently, there's a director's cut of the second movie where he speaks briefly too. I've never seen that.
I think I have that version. I don't remember it.
I don't mind seeing part of the dude's face, but Michael Myers speaking that's just breaking the formula right there. I think that's pushing it too far.
Yeah.
They make a point of it in the first movie, like, Michael, you haven't spoken in 15 years. Okay, so don't get talkative in the second one.
They should,
like, him grunting was disturbing enough, like, and that is disturbing. The fact that he doesn't speak, like, if he starts talking, now it's just like, well, you're just a person then.
Can we go back and insert fart noises into certain parts? Like you said,
sure.
The first when he's like, Michael, you haven't spoken for 15 years, and it just shows him there, like, and get like the awesome sound effect of metal, so it's like rebounding off of the chair. And then, like, when he's killing the nurse in the second one, he stops for a second. He's like, and he stops for a second. And then he goes back to it. Like, it'd be awesome. Just insert fart noises into it, like this horrible, like, gross, like when he's smashing the stripper into the mirror. Like, it would be like, like the force of it is just like it's like popcorn farts. That would be amazing.
Can you clarify that nurse death, by the way? Like, she walks in and then acts surprised that she's wounded.
Well, she's in shock because he stabbed her. I don't know. There's that.
Is that what happened? Like, she comes shuffling in and then she, like, blood, and she's like, "What the hell was that?" Like, I don't know. It was confusing to me.
Circle J, Jason Cluse. Good to see you, man. He says that would be Seth MacFarlane's Halloween. It'd be worth it. Yeah,
I would totally do that.
I always thought that was just like shock, AJ. I mean, do you agree with that, Drew? Like, when she walked out and all of a sudden she starts bleeding and screaming, it's like, like, to me that was just shock.
Yeah, I think so.
And that actually jogs my memory. Now that you mentioned that director's cut, AJ, I do remember something in there in the director's cut, because when Lori goes outside the hospital, she falls into like a dumpster full of corpses. So apparently Michael had been killing people and dumped them all in this dumpster. So
shit, now I really got to go rewatch this, but the right version.
Jason Wheeler, my rectum opus. Oh my
Rectum
God,
damn near killed him.
Yeah, so apparently Michael wasn't just a murderer. He was he was conscientious, and he didn't want to leave his trash laying around. So he left all the bodies in a dumpster. But yeah, she falls, she lands on this pile of like corpses. They're all effed up and stuff like that. So he had been like slaughtering people in the, And you know what else we forgot? Is that damn nurse that he hung up in the stairwell, where she's got like the glass in her eyes.
Oh shit, yeah.
That was awesome.
Okay, that might be one of my favorites from the second one, because whatever the hell she did, man, he was angry at her.
That kind of reminded me of Red Dragon, like the way he kills the family and like puts the mirror in the eyes, like the broken mirror parts. Yeah, see, as I'm going, screw people who don't like this movie. It's freaking brutal as hell, man. Juanita, he's a monster, not a litter bug. Yeah,
He's still a villain though, because he should have composted those bodies.
Yeah, put him in a crusher. Do something. Humans are biodegradable, don't you know?
Exactly. Put him in a garden bed with some banana peels.
Yeah. So, all right. So, overall thoughts on the Rob Zombie Halloween. I will start. I think they're great. I think they're fun. I mean, if you're looking for, the first one is basically a callback to the original, and I think it as I said earlier in the show, it's like the original on steroids, and it's as the years have passed, Michael Myers has been cast as this brutal killer and heartless and soulless, and I think you actually physically see that in the Rob Zombie version, especially in the second one. The second one is just a kill fest, which is totally awesome. So I think they're entertaining. I mean, if you're looking for some deep plots and meaning and all this other stuff, I mean, obviously it's not going to be there. And the plot of the second one is wonky. But I think they're entertaining. And given the concept of Halloween with, Michael Myers is unkillable, I thought they were fun. What do you think, Drew? What are your final thoughts about the Rob Zombie Halloween movies?
I think that the Rob Zombie ones are definitely my favorite ones out of the original and then out of the two new ones. Halloween Ends and Halloween Kills. I definitely liked it. And the kills. Of course. All
right, AJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a ton of different Halloween movies now and different timelines and stuff. I think that I like Rob Zombie's two movies that he did, and the Screen Rant article even says he had no intentions of making a third. So it's nice of him to leave it at a cliffhanger. Like if someone wanted to pick it up, they could have, but it just got caught in development hell, and they went back to the originals. But of all the different takes on Michael Myers that they've done and tried through the franchise, I like this one the best. Like the kills hit hard, which I love, and the story makes enough sense to string all the deaths together. Way more than we were just shitting on Halloween Ends. So I mean, I was really hoping with the newer Halloween movies that they would get this visceral with the gore, so it would feel heavy and hard, but it's just cheesy slasher, whereas the Rob Zombie stuff is still hard to watch. I was glad when Halloween 2 was over, not because it was a bad movie, but just because I was like, oh, I don't feel good watching this. And that's intended though. So it still hits just like it did back when it was made. So I think it's a great pair of movies. And I'm actually kind of glad they didn't try to keep stringing it along for sequels, because without Rob Zombie doing it, I don't think it would have been worth a damn.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
All right, before we go, Drew, do you have a favorite horror movie or horror movies?
God.
Is there anything that comes to mind?
I love that he keeps putting you on a spot first, so I have time to think about my answers.
Thanks for that, because I watch every scary movie.
You're right.
It's hard for me to pick. If I had to pick out of Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, Jigsaw, I would definitely pick Michael Myers out of those. Out of every scary movie, I don't know if I can pick that.
Is there so there's not one that totally stands out to you then?
Okay, I actually just watched Annabelle Creations. That was creepy. I actually jumped quite a bit in that one. And I don't like dolls and anything like that, but that was a good one.
I was going to say, is it the doll thing?
Yeah, the dolls. And I don't usually watch those, but Marcellus had me watch it, and we were both jumping.
Okay, all right. I have two. And one we just talked about, and that's the original Hellraiser. So that one always stands out. And you know what other one stands out to me as well? Human Centipede 2.
Oh my God.
Oh, that movie. Have you ever seen that, AJ?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That movie is... I love the concept of that movie. You want to talk about a disgusting, just like you got to turn your head type of, so good. Again, I love the concept where the guy that made the first one, people were like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought. He got pissed off. He's like, oh, you don't think that's bad? Well, I'll show you bad. And holy God, did he? Like, the one thing I want to see, I want somebody to put out a colorized version of that.
Oh.
Because it was so gross, they had to make it black and white. I'm like, oh, show me the color. Let me see everything, all the shit and the blood and the staples and the sandpaper and the dead mother at the breakfast table. Oh, that would be, whoo, man. All right, Wheeler, one of my very, very good friends, one of my best buddies, Jason Wheeler, says Sinister was pretty dope. See, I get those confused, like Insidious and Sinister. All these things like kind of blend together for me. I think I saw Sinister. I don't remember. All right, AJ, you've had time to choose. So do you have a favorite horror movie or horror movies?
I got a couple.
Okay.
The original Exorcist. Actually.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic. That watching that movie is like reading a Stephen King book.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable because people are, oh man.
Yep.
And that crab walk gets me every fucking time. Jesus.
Yeah. Have you seen that, Drew? The original Exorcist?
I think so, like a long time ago.
Okay.
Other than that, Human Centipede is definitely up there. I feel like the early 2000s had so many good ones, though. I mean, you had Hostel, and obviously Human Centipede was in there, and you had Saw, and all these like great new franchises coming out. So it's hard to pick from the newer batch, but from the classics, I think I go Hellraiser, but those got shitty pretty fast. So I think maybe I would just go for Friday the 13th at that point.
Drew is not a Hellraiser fan. She didn't make it. You know, she was. I couldn't believe it. I was like, but that's awesome. Oh, you know what one I left out? Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Dream Warriors, man, that movie kicks ass. Yeah. I love that movie.
Do psychological thrillers count as horror movies? I'm thinking of something like 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Never saw it. Hey, Joseph Wren is doing one of those. Psycho. Got to go with the classic. I mean, I guess it would qualify.
So 10 Cloverfield Lane is John Goodman with two other people trapped in a post-apocalyptic bunker. It's his bunker, so he's saving them, but turns out he's friggin' nutso, and there's actually no problem outside.
No kidding. Well, now I don't have to watch it because I know what happened, so thanks for that.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. God damn it. The movie's only been out for 15 years. Nice. Well, all right. Well, on that note, why don't we close up shop for this episode? Drew, thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. It was
Thanks
fun
for
talking
having me.
We'll have to talk more horror movies when I see you this weekend.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Guys, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you guys in the chat. Juanita Velez, Jason Wheeler, Circle J, Joseph Wren, all you guys, thank you very much. Shane O'Mac. We will be right back here in 2 weeks, but it will be on a Wednesday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What the hell's the date going to be at that point? It'll be like, it'll be the 9th. It'll be Wednesday, November 9th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, again, please click that like button and that subscribe button and smash the subscription bell so that you're notified every single time we go live. And we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And if you would like to get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. Drew, you have a Twitter, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So she's Drew. What's your Twitter handle?
I think it's Drew Alexandria. Now you got me questioning my own Twitter.
I put you on the spot one last time.
It's Drew with 2 W's, Alexandria.
There we go. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
I'm JT at Dog Pound Jedi. And guys, we will catch you next time.
bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my nerf herder.
You my nerf herder.